Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of On the Boundary. Unfortunately, today I don't have Spinash, but I do have our very first guest on the podcast, very first ever. Yeah, I'm still Lulu Babalo, your host, and Sindile is joining us today. Sindile, how are you, my brother?
Hey Lou, thanks for having me, man. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, no, welcome. So yeah, guys, the show today is going to be a bit different. Like I said, we'll be talking about umpiring, and Usindile is an umpire for Eastern Province Cricket for CSA, let me say. So yeah, but before we get into the umpiring, my brother, can you please just tell us a bit about yourself, how you got into cricket, where you're from, and how you got into this whole thing of umpiring?
Yeah, no, once again, thanks for having me, man. And just a nice greeting to your viewership. Very, very honored to be your first guest. And wishing you all the best with your podcast and what you're trying to achieve with your cricket and your channel. So with cricket, yo, I started. I think I was about 6, 7, just playing in the streets with other bunch of guys. And then I think, if I recall properly, we didn't really play much at school at that time. So when I was about, I think, 10, 11, I started straight at club cricket. There was a guy in my area. I think it was Ayanda Boy. He spotted me playing with the other bunch of guys on the street, and then he eventually invited me to join the club. At the time, we were very much of a youthful bunch. He was also still in his youth at that day, so they had just started forming a club. So I was part of that club. It was called Melumzi. Cricket club. Um, and then basically that's how I started my cricket journey. I would then later on to play at school, and then a little bit in varsity, the time when I was at my divas, and then yeah, that's when then the cricket umpiring started. I had just finished matric. I went into study sports management. And then what happened then later was that when I would occasionally play with a few guys at that time, I still remember, I think you would know Sophie, this is his name,
Yeah,
Sofan. Yeah, we're with that group with, what is that guy, Swift.
yeah,
Um, yeah, we
legend.
were playing there. Yeah, we were playing there for the first league. Sometimes we'd get called up for the prospect team, whenever those other guys are not there. So what happened was when we used to play on Saturdays, Sundays, then there was a guy who was umpiring at the time, Mr. Bennett Harrison. He was a former first class umpire. So he said, "Look, man, you look quite eager, and you look very passionate for cricket. Don't you want to maybe just come sign up to see how it goes?" And then that's when I went through with it, and then yeah, I started it out, Lou, and I'm still at it. Yeah.
And I'm sure you're still enjoying it because you seem to have opted for umpiring and decided no playing, no coaching. You'll just be an ump.
No, no, you know very well that's not true. So at the school I work at, very much involved in the coaching part with youth cricket. I've been coaching.
Yeah,
It's actually, I would say it's actually my job. I'm a I'm a coordinator of cricket at my school.
yeah,
So I am very much into coaching, but it's a career, man. Cricket is a career now.
yeah,
So we're doing, or we actually serving the game where we can.
yeah,
So if I'm called upon to do coaching. I very much so try and give back and coach.
Yeah.
I know and what I think is required at this day and age. And then
Yeah.
obviously empowering as well is another path, that I'm very much invested in. So on a weekend, and if there's tournaments, we get invited to officiate. I'm very much involved in that as well.
Yeah. And what's the highest or the biggest tournament that you've umpired in? That one
Uh,
tournament you say you rank up there with the tournaments that you've ever stood in.
so I've been doing youth tournaments for the last few years. So now I've just recently done USA Week,
Yeah.
and in the Kayamajola this last summer. But occasionally I get to do warm up games for the franchise teams, and some Colts games. Every now and then. But in terms of tournaments, it has to be the USA and the what you call it, the Kayamajola thus far.
Oh yeah. So yeah. Um what's the one thing you reckon is probably the toughest about being an umpire? That one thing you sit down sometimes and think, oh my God, if it wasn't for this, then I'd be fully enjoying my job.
Um,
Or is
I
it just
think
smooth sailing? It's just too easy for you?
no, man, nothing is too easy. I would say it's man management, man, and but it's something of like I said, throughout the years I've worked, through, and it keeps, you keep getting better at it. But man management is very quite tough because you deal with different characters, and sometimes you can't deal with the same, okay, you try and deal with everyone the same way, but different situations require different ways of handling, because people that you deal with are very much different, but you try and level it up by being consistent and dealing with it in a cricket manner, and yeah, with at best as you can at that point in time. But I think because I say that because if you were to look at match officiating in rugby, guys are very violent, you know.
Yeah.
So it's you never know, it's not a safe space. You don't know what the guys are capable of, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that part is very much up there. That whenever you do it, because we can get swayed at, you never know. Sometimes it can even get to a point where it's physical. But I must say, for the longest of time that I've umpired, it has never gotten to that point, but
Yeah.
you never know, man. If you've heard stories about things, and you've seen some at some point in time people's experiences. So I would say it's very much up there, but we try and deal with it as best as we can.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I understand. And sometimes people can get emotional in the field. So my
You
other
being one of
question,
them,
yeah.
I've heard stories about you as well being emotional.
uh, let's not get into that because we're not talking about me today. But you know how it is playing without an umpire. If there were umpires, maybe, but you know how it is in our leagues. When umpiring, I know there's times where you look back at your own decision and think maybe I should have gone the other way. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with, I don't want to say it's the guilt, but how do you deal with realizing that you made a wrong decision? Maybe for example, you were standing there in a warm-up match and Enrich was running in bowling thunderbolts. You didn't even see the ball, you don't know where it pitched, but you just heard boo and then you decided to stick. How do you deal with that?
Uh, Yeah, man. There's like, okay, let me put it this way. So when you're umpire, and when you're an umpire, you have to be very honest with yourself. You know, at first you know that all the match officials, at any day will tell you that your day will come. Your day
Yeah.
will come. There's no ways you can do that job and never ever make a mistake. All our days are written. All I don't want to say the stars, but your days are written. Your day is coming. I might put it that way.
Yeah.
So eventually when it comes, the quickest thing you can do is to accept that you've
Yeah.
made a mistake. you know and I would say it doesn't even take that long sometimes to realize that you've made a mistake. There's a lot of things that could actually let you know at that point in time, that you've made a mistake. Sometimes the players, sometimes your colleague, sometimes just you having to make a split decision, and you give the guy out and you realize yesterday that guy actually hit the ball. He didn't hit the ball.
Yeah.
You realize it, a few seconds later. But what you need to do is, you get over it, as soon as possible, because otherwise your game will, that will affect your game. So, but like I said, you have to be very honest, with yourself and acknowledge it. And then after that, you just carry on. And, at times you can admit, to the player, look, man, I got that one wrong, because if you've been doing it for a long period of time, the guys, they will know what type of match official you are. So they will understand, if you have a bad day or you make one or two mistakes on that day, because you've been doing this thing, or you're a seasoned campaigner when it comes to it. So they
Yeah.
know that you're not that kind of person. So but as long as not making mistakes now, then week in week
Yeah.
out, then you win the respect of the guys. And but like I said, the guys generally on the field, they know that you made one mistake there, and they'll forgive you when you've made it. But like I said, as long as it's not a consistent thing, you just move on and you accept and be honest, Lou.
Yeah. You also mentioned that sometimes you do have to find yourself maybe admitting to a player that, hey, listen, man, I might have gotten that wrong. Have you ever been in a situation, or have you ever found yourself having to go to a player and say, look, I think I got it wrong there? And how was their reaction? What did they say, or how did they take it?
So I don't recall doing it
Yeah.
after a match, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but so, for example, let's say, for example, a week or two had passed, and then maybe you
Yeah.
stand the same team, and then maybe a guy would, jokingly say, "Yesterday, last week, you put me out.
Out.
Um, I wasn't out." In that moment, it's a very light situation. You'll tell him,
Yeah.
"Hey, shut up, but I bugged that one up. Tough luck." And but it's always been, when in my experiences, in a soft and subtle manner, where um, I'm not going to tell him, "Hey, but I apologized. I made a mistake." It's always like, "I didn't hear that, Nick." If it was a
Yeah.
Nick, or I felt after I'd given you, the ball was a bit high, you know, but I hardly ever did it after a match. But after maybe a week or two, maybe we'd meet up, you bump into a guy, then maybe you'll speak about it. But otherwise, if a captain asks, and you were not sure at that point in time, or that kind of thing, like I said, being honest, it depends how you feel, after that match, But
Yeah.
like I said,
Yeah.
I'm open to doing it, but I've hardly ever been in a situation, unless the ones I'm referring to now, where it's like a
Oh
light
yeah.
thing after a week or two. Yeah.
Yeah, you've also stood in matches of different levels: junior cricket, girls, ladies, club cricket, Premier League. Which of these levels do you think is the hardest to stand in? Because I know different leagues, different levels of the game, players are different. You'd find that Premier League sometimes players might be more hostile as compared to standing maybe for the senior women's tournament. So which of these levels of the game do you think, or do you feel is the hardest for you to stand? Or let me not say hardest, but the most challenging.
Um, I think when you do games of like your calls, or you're doing these warm-ups with these guys that um, like are pros, or about to make professional. The nicest thing about that is, and Premier League, if I may put it that way, is the guys know the rules, man.
Yeah,
They know what's going on, and they know the repercussions of not behaving and all that kind of stuff. It's just that at Premier level and those levels, it's a lot more competitive, where
yeah,
your decision making is it's of very not that the other ones are not important, but it's more like a pressure kind of
yeah,
thing, and a certain standard is required, all the time. But when you stand like lower leagues, the lower leagues, not Premier, but the lower ones, and
promotion
guys, the
and
guys
stuff. Yeah,
don't know the rules there. They don't know the rules. They come with, yellow techies and red techies and black, they
yeah,
don't wear white pants, but there's a lot of work to be done there. They appeal for everything. They can somehow even catch with a hat, it looks like, so there, you really earn your money there, because every decision you make at times you have to explain.
yeah,
Sometimes even the guys doubt you that you know what you're talking about, because
yeah, yeah,
they've been playing with their own set of rules. So there, you really get, to do a lot of educating, and at times it can become a challenging, because you find yourself teaching rules, and then you sometimes tend to forget, your routines and what you're supposed to do,
yeah,
because the guys don't know what is what. They don't know how many the fielding restrictions, you know. So now you have to enforce a lot of things, there. Whereas the women's one, women's cricket is a little bit slower, so it takes much more of a lot of concentration, but it's always exciting, because the girls are always nice and loud, they keep you up. But yeah, I think, yeah, the challenging ones, Lou, are normally the lower leagues, if I may put it that way.
yeah. Oh yeah, I feel you. What's the one thing you'd say umpiring has taught you that you use in your life on a daily basis? That one thing you say, this is what I learned from umpiring, and I am able to use it in my life. For example, now coaching taught me patience. I have never been a patient person in my life until I started coaching. Then I began to understand that sometimes I just need to trust the process.
Yeah, yeah. I would say the same, man. I would say the same. Patience, but more in the empowering, it's about discipline
Yeah,
and conduct. How to conduct yourself, body language. It's a big thing in empowering. What else? Caught me a little bit off guard there, but empowering, like I said, discipline,
then yeah,
patience, um, and yeah, just understanding the game, at large.
yeah.
To be gentlemen, to be gentlemen about things, and basically, like, yeah, just the rules and regulations of the game.
No, okay. Let's just talk about the structure of umpiring just a little bit. Is it are there levels like in coaching? There's level one, there's level two, and then there's so and so. Are there levels, and how do the levels work?
Yes, there's levels, Lou. There's four levels, just like there is in the coaching structures. There's a beginner level, which is one, and then there's a two, and then there's three, and then basically the fourth one is basically a national certificate. Basically, the one till three you can do through the provincial unions, and then the one which is the level four or the national certificate, you basically get invited by Cricket South Africa after having done all these levels, um, and then you basically write it, and then that's when you start to coach. Sorry, officiate in matches of first class level and
Yeah.
higher up.
Okay. Okay. No. Thank you for that. I think we almost done. Just a surprise question. Have you been following the SA what's this, the CSA T20 challenge?
Yes, the men both. Yeah, I've been following Lou. I've watched a couple of matches, especially the
And
Warriors. I've been
yeah,
following those guys.
I know you're following them because they've been winning. Uh, what are your thoughts on the whole tournament? And do you think the Warriors are gonna come home with it?
Hey, but um, look, man. Yesterday, the Warriors. They actually surprised me. I won't lie. I was very much surprised at the guys. I think they won like seven on the trot.
Yeah,
Matt and Robbie P, they're working, man. It's very nice. It's positive cricket. It's very nice to watch, I must say. How about they're going about their business? I'm just crossing fingers, man. When you go when you go so much undefeated, and then
it seems
like
too
if
good to be true. I understand.
you check, like you watch the Sunrises. The Sunrises, they always, they don't start well, but they finish strong.
Yeah,
These guys are going about the other way, but I'm very optimistic, man. And I'd be very happy for Matt. Is a homeboy, and Robbie P as well. So I'd be very
yeah,
happy for those guys, to bring it home. We haven't won silverware for the longest of time. If I
yeah.
recall
No,
properly,
no.
2009 or 2010, bro. I don't know if my memory is right, but
Yeah,
that's the time that's how long it's been. So I hope so, Lou. But otherwise, competition wise, it's nice, man. It's very nice. It's been good. Feel a bit it's a bit long. Yo, they've been
yeah. It is.
playing
It is. It is.
eight
It's
ten
almost
weeks
like
now.
the IPL now.
Yo, it's very long, but it's very nice, man, and it's good for the cricket, for the guys. But yeah, very good.
Yeah, no, it is a bit long, but I think in the last couple of years, our players haven't been playing a lot of T20 matches. Because
Yeah,
if you go into Crick Info and compare the number of T20s that players play, you would have found that South African players don't really play a lot, unless they are Quinton, David Miller, the guys who play in the IPL. So maybe having a long tournament is not so bad after all. Yeah, and
yes.
hopefully it's time for the Warriors to start dusting the trophy cabinet.
Yeah,
But
but
Pizza
that,
used to say it's not how you start that counts. It's how you finish, and they
that,
will just have to try and finish well. And yeah, thank you for coming through today. I enjoyed having a chat with you. But before I let you go, what would you say to a young girl or a young boy who loves cricket, is passionate about cricket, but they don't really want to be a player, they don't want to be coach, they want to be like you, they want to be an umpire, they want to stand in international matches or all the matches? What would you say to that one kid who really wants to be an umpire?
um, yo, Lou, it's a nice career, man. I won't lie, it changed my life, and it's still gonna change my life. I believe. So we need it. It's not a career that people want to go through because of obviously the way it's viewed. It's a pressure career, but Lou, they must come through, man. It's a very nice. Once you get into it, you survive your first season. You know, then like I said, it's very nice, man. Cricketers, I've been to provinces that I think had I not been part of match officiating, I wouldn't have gone to this day. So you get to travel, you see fields, you see provinces, so it's very nice, man. And it's I always say you get to see it better. No
Oh, yeah.
one on the field can tell you. You can't miss anything, because it's happening right there under your nose. So that's the best part of all.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I would encourage that. They make means to join. They can follow. On Facebook, or on any social platforms that they feel they can get guidance. But yeah, ask how they can get involved. But like I said, they can follow, add, and yeah, if there's any questions, we're keen to help and get people on board with the umpiring.
All right. Nah, short thanks, brother. Again, thank you for coming through. And hopefully, before you decide to focus on umpiring, I can get to beat your team once more just to make it 2-0.
No chance, brother. No chance. And I don't know when you're getting another gig so we can face off. Yo, I'm dealing with so much talent now, but yo, you
No,
will make it.
we will see. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for the show today. Remember to click that notification thing so that you don't miss any videos. Like, share, follow the channel, share, and feel free to comment. Tell us what you think. Thank you and enjoy.